What is your value system and why is it important if you're aiming for admission into a selective American college or university? That is the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. Talking about value system, I recently got a comment from a viewer of these videos saying, Craig, why are you dressed in just a black t-shirt or a gray t-shirt in all your videos? And it got me thinking, I could, I guess, wear a suit, but what I'm wearing in these videos when I film them between meetings or other things that I'm doing over the course of my busy day is, in fact, for better or for worse, a reflection of my value system. I like to be comfortable. I'm pretty casual. I'm a direct, no nonsense type of person. And so I was not offended by that question. I obviously may not impress that person as much as maybe I otherwise could. Maybe I could wear a suit for that individual who was concerned about what I was wearing. But my value system is that when I am making these videos, I want to be comfortable. And the shirts that I have that I'm most comfortable in, when I feel like I'm in the zone to just talk, I don't have a script here. I just sort of just talk. These are the black and gray shirts that I have, so I wear them. So why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because you don't care about my shirt, I hope. Maybe you do, but that's okay if you do. But the reason you're interested in value system today is because you're maybe aiming for admission into a very selective American college or university. And you may be saying, Craig, why does my value system really matter to that college or university in terms of helping me get in? Well, it matters for myriad reasons. I'm not even going to go into all of them in this call. Obviously, colleges like diversity, diversity, diversity. I could say that 3 more times. Diversity, 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 so much that if you can present to them a value system that they are attracted to and that is relatively niche or unique in terms of other students applying, that right there is a way in which to differentiate yourself throughout the admissions process. But what I'm really referring to for the purposes of today's video is you need to know who you are before you're going to make the best case for yourself and your case of getting admitted to a highly selective college or university. And very few 16, 17, and 18-year-olds today are really taking stock of who they are and what makes them different. And so for years, since I started working with students and parents navigating the college admissions process, in one of my intake questionnaires for the service known as the game plan that I offer, I have for years, even when it was called something else years ago, it was called a comprehensive review when I first started. This was my first service where I would sort of give a situational analysis. I still give a situational analysis for students, but I do much more than the comprehensive review. I now call it the game plan because I sort of give them a game plan by the end. But one of the questions in the intake questionnaires before I even meet you that you need to fill out is this question that is on both the student questionnaire and the parent questionnaire, I believe. I think it's on both. I know it's definitely on the parent questionnaires, but I always ask it. And it's very important to me. I ask sort of similar questions on the student questionnaire if it's not in this exact wording, but this is the basic gist of it. What is your value system? And then I also ask the parent, what do you think your student's value system is? And many families write a lot about, in response to a lot of the questions I ask, but many families and many students don't write too much in response to that question. It's sort of like short, like I'm nice, or I want to be kind, or they don't really get into the weeds of it. And I believe it's because very few people today are sitting in and reveling in and owning up to their value systems. But it's so important. And the reason I ask the question is because when determining where you're applying to college, if you are aiming for a selective colleges really do want you to convey fit on many levels. And before you know what the right fit for you is, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror. And you also have to think about that for a while. Like, who am I anyway? What do I value? Have you done an inventory of your interests and your personality, and where those interests and that personality would fit best in the wide world of higher education in the United States, because all colleges are not created equal in the United States. There are all different types of environments, aesthetically, environmentally, culturally, academically, of course. And I know so many are in a race to try to get into the best college, whatever that means, the best college. But is it the best college for you, considering your value system? And again, a lot of people are initially attracted to, let's say, Ivy League schools because their value system is, I want the best. But I have worked with students when I inform them that, none of the Ivy League schools have your major that you've said in the questionnaire you want to study, and that you're really certain you want to pursue a career in, but you also say that you want to go to an Ivy League school. Did you know that? Many times they don't even know it. And other times they'll say, well, I did know that, but it's more important to me that I go to an Ivy League school than I even major in this. And that's the point at which I think you're selling yourself short, ultimately. I think that you should be able to get it all. You should be able to have your cake and eat it too. And you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too unless you really, again, reflect on and recognize your value system, your interests, your personality before you start searching out colleges and universities, and before you start just really cobbling together and then honing your college list. And the reason this is so important for the purposes of colleges at the most selective level, whether they're Ivy League colleges or others like Ivy League colleges like Duke or Stanford or Rice or what have you, is these colleges on their supplements in most cases ask questions that are very much trigger questions to determine whether or not this student would be a strong fit. Now, I've done other videos in the past about how colleges sort of are not exactly being fully truthful about the idea of caring about fit, because there are plenty of kids who could fit beautifully at Stanford who are rejected. And then there are other kids who maybe it's not actually the best fit, but then they get in for the wrong, what I would call the wrong reasons. Maybe it's because their parent donated a lot of money. Maybe it's because they represent an underrepresented state or something. Who knows why? But there's reasons they're getting in, and other kids who really studied up on Stanford did not get in. But with all other things being equal, there's only so much you can control, right? What I certainly believe is that you owe it to yourself still to have a college list that is filled with colleges, that doesn't have even one college on it that does not align with your value system as it relates to what you want to get out of the four-year experience. So all the colleges should align with your value system. Not one should stand in opposition to your value system as it relates to what you want to get out of the experience. Now, again, I'm not saying that you're going to necessarily sign away your religion to this college, but as we know, if you follow the news and just the trends in the United States, many colleges now are sort of treated like religions by the people who attend them and then are alumni of them for years to come. Like, you'll root for your sports team forever. You may even watch the sports games from that school more than you attend your local church, synagogue, or mosque for the rest of your life, because it's become more than just an education, right? It's become sort of a status symbol, like lifestyle choice going to college in the United States. I do personally not agree with that, but that's the way the world has headed. And so many people associate much more than just where they're going to college with their education and what they studied. But that should, in my mind, still be at the root of why you're going to a college. If you want to study business and let's say you want to study entrepreneurship, or, that may be not the best example because I believe that's best learned through doing, but let's say something that's very specific, like you want to become a nurse. You've dreamt of being a nurse your whole life. Why would you apply to an Ivy League school that doesn't have nursing as a major? Now, there is nursing at Penn, where I went, but most of these Ivy League schools do not have nursing as a major. They don't have a school for nursing at the undergraduate level or anything like that. So you're willing to sell what you've wanted to do for years just to go to an Ivy League school. I don't think you should have to do that. Now, if you ultimately want to drink the Kool-Aid and ultimately, identify when you grow up in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s as a graduate of this college, and you're going to be more proud to identify that like that in public than you are as someone of the Christian, Muslim, or Jewish faith, or some other faith or background or identity. That's of course your prerogative, but I still would argue that you'd probably be prouder to do so if you actually go to a school that aligns with your pre-existing values. But again, so many individuals don't go into the college admissions process thinking about their values as much as just give me the best, give me the best. I want the best. I've worked for the best. I've worked hard. I deserve the best. And then they look at what other people think are the best, and then they create their list. Or they ask their mom or dad or cousin or friend or girlfriend or boyfriend or college counselor at school what the best would be. And depending on who you ask, sometimes you get a better list or a worse list. But why am I talking about all this today? Because I ultimately believe, all other things being equal, if you can convey fit, if you can communicate effectively about your value system, and then connect the dots between your value system and what you find so attractive at the college you are applying to on that college's supplemental essay questions, whether they be short essay questions or longer essay questions, all other things being equal, you're going to have a much better shot of getting in. And so on my recently released Are You On Track to Get In.com assessment that is free of charge, that I encourage you to take. Again, it's at areyouontracktogetin.com. There are 13 questions on that questionnaire. You can take it as a student. You can take it on behalf of your student if you're a parent. And you can gauge whether or not you are on track to be a compelling applicant, or your student is on track to be a compelling applicant for selective college admission in the United States. And one of the questions on this assessment is I have completed an inventory of my interest and personality in order to help me search out schools that share my values and offer majors that align with my goals. Yes or no? And you have to say yes or no. That is such an important exercise for you to engage in. That is such an important statement for you to be able to say yes or no to. If you say no to that, then I don't think you have any business even creating a college list to any colleges or for any colleges yet, let alone a selective college or university, because the selective colleges and universities are going to hold you to such a high standard that you really thought that through and reflected on it, and then can communicate effectively and articulately about it throughout your application to that school. And in some cases, even in interviews, you're going to have to be able to sort of on the fly communicate about that consistently and convincingly, and like I said, effectively and articulately. That is why I asked that question, or have that statement that you have to give a yes or no response to on the areyouontracktogetin.com assessment that helps you determine whether or not you or your student is on track for selective college admission. I should just state, there is no guarantee you're going to get into a selective college or university. You just want to know whether or not you're even in the right time zone for getting in or in the time zone for even being considered seriously for a selective college or university. There's no guarantees, of course. Even that assessment makes that very clear. But it is something that many students who are finding my videos and many families who are finding my videos are curious about. So that's why I encourage you to go to areyouontracktogetin.com and complete that questionnaire. That assessment right now takes 3 minutes. It's completely free. You will be emailed your results. But some individuals may get that prompt or that question and they'll be like, what does this have anything to do with my chances of getting in? I thought you were going to ask about my SAT or ACT scores, or I thought you were going to ask about my GPA. And while those things are, of course, important, there are bigger questions, sort of these metaphysical questions about your value system that I think are increasingly, frankly, important in a test optional world. Many colleges will remain test optional into perpetuity, and they're increasingly considering students very subjectively. And so that's why such a question exists on this areyouontracktogetin.com assessment. But even if you don't take the assessment, which I don't know why you wouldn't, because it's 3 minutes, it's free. But even if you don't take it, I hope that since you've gotten this far in this video, you are thinking about this. Whether you're a 9th grader or an 11th grader or a parent of one, you got to have conversations with yourself and your family members about who you are, how you're different from your siblings, how you're different from other family members, and what makes you tick and what makes you excited, what turns you on in terms of an environment you would find yourself in, what would make you happy to wake up, where would you find yourself? Would you be in a city? Would you be in the country? Would you be around academic individuals? Would you be around individuals who like to party? Or is it a combination? What do you like to do for fun? And these are things that you have to think about, because where you go to school in the United States is much different from where you go to school in almost any other country on earth, where it's much more about, all about business. It's like, why do you want to go to college? What are you trying to study? It's because of what you want to study. In the vast majority of other countries on earth, it's all about what you want to study. In the United States, it's a lifestyle choice. It's a status choice. It's so many other choices all wrapped into one. But at the root of all of that comes back to your values. And back to my black shirt, right? Like, I could wear a tuxedo in all of these calls, but that would not be me being the real me. I don't like to wear tuxedos. I wear black shirts. So it's the same with you. Like, if you don't realize this, you should. There are some colleges where how you dress on campus matters more than on other campuses, at least to the average student on campus. But even if it has nothing to do with dress, it also has to do with style, aesthetics, fitting in, finding people that resonate with you and that you would want to hang out with. And so it's not so simple in the United States to just say, well, the best colleges will definitely be filled with people I share values with, because that's not always the case. And depending on what your rankings list, again, what is the best? That's such a subjective term, just like what is normal. What is normal? There's a joke. Normal is a setting on the washing machine. That's all normal is. But in every other way, normal is a completely perspective specific pronouncement. And the same thing is true about best college. What is the best college for you? And of course, if we work together one-on-one, and you can do that with me by going to collegemeister.com, we can, of course, help you develop a college list based off of my years of experience helping students do just this, if you feel like you just don't know where to begin. But before you even begin, whether you work with me or not, again, I encourage you to sit in and revel in who are you, and get to know that very well. And then you can venture forward towards developing your college list, and you will be a better researcher into the college options out there, but also the options that are available at particular colleges that strike you as attractive, at least initially. Some of them will continue to strike you as attractive. Others will start to lose their attraction as you learn more and as you connect the dots back between what you're learning and who you have found out yourself to be. And so that's why it's really important to know yourself and your value system if you're going to make the most of this process, and also develop a college list that at the safety possible and reach level will be a happy college list for you, not just in terms of sharing with friends that you got into some of these colleges, or maybe even all of them, but also then once you actually have to say bye-bye to your friends and your family, you're going to actually have to go to one of them. Then you got to make sure that it's not just something you were using as a cudgel to sort of brag against other people that maybe, unless that's your value system, it's all about the superficial or showing off. But then you're actually going to have to live with people on this campus for 4 years and be associated with this college forever. Are you going to be as happy then as you were when you just announced on December 15th that you got into the hardest college to get into? That's the question you have to ask yourself if you're going to really put together a wise college list for you. Again, I've mentioned a couple websites on this video. If you are interested in completing that assessment of are you on track to get into a selective college or university in the United States, or are you completely off track, in which case you got to start, maybe reevaluating how you're spending your time depending on how much time is left before you have to apply to college. You would want to go to areyouontrack2getin.com. That again is a free assessment for you to complete. It takes 3 minutes. Your results will be sent to you in email. But if you want to work with me one-on-one throughout some or all of the college admissions process, you can go right to the source, which is collegemeister.com. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.